If you want to keep spooky spirits away, salt should do the trick. If you've watched any supernatural shows, you might notice that some characters use salt as a way to protect themselves against frightening spirits. And there's a pretty good reason why. Some say that salt acts as a protective shield against evil spirits and malevolent entities, and has been a practice dating back to ancient times. Even if you're not a true believer, it can't hurt to sprinkle a bit on your doorstep should any unwelcome visitors stop by on Halloween night. There's a city in South Carolina that renamed itself Halloween. According to the state, a newspaper published in Columbia, South Carolina, back in 2022, a city in Horry County called Conway announced that for the month of October, they would be renamed the City of Halloween in an effort to boost tourism and economic development during the fall season. Since 2022, they have continued to do so every October. Trick or treat was not necessarily the original phrase children would shout out to receive candy. Instead, kids would allegedly yell, "Belsnickel." According to the Library of Congress, historians argue that the modern call originated from belsnickeling, a German-American Christmas tradition where kids dressed in costumes and went around to their neighbors to see if they could guess the identity of those dressed up. In some versions, if the adults couldn't accurately guess, the children were rewarded with treats and goodies. There's a reason black and orange are the colors most associated with Halloween. The Library of Congress reports that the colors of black and orange trace back to the Celtic festival of Samhain, a Gaelic festival marking the end of the harvest season and beginning of winter, or the darker half of the year. Thus, black represents the death of summer, while orange represents the life of the fall harvest. Every 19 years, there's a full moon on Halloween nothing. Quite adds to the energy of a great Halloween night than a dark sky and a full moon shining among it. But since they are so rare, according to NASA, you're only likely to see one every 19 years. Oh well, if anything, that makes one on Halloween night even more special. Some Halloween rituals used to be geared toward finding a husband. During the 18th century, single ladies devised Halloween traditions that were supposed to help them meet their romantic match. According to History.com, women used to throw apple peels over a shoulder, hoping to see their future husband's initials in the pattern they made when they landed. When bobbing for apples at parties, the winner would supposedly marry first. Most spookily, they even used to stand in a dark room, holding a candle in front of a mirror to look for their future husband's face to appear in the glass. Bloody Mary who? The Irish also brought us jack-o'-lanterns. As the story goes, an Irish man named Stingy Jack tricked the devil and therefore was not allowed into heaven or hell. So he spent his days roaming the earth, carrying a lantern. Hence the name Jack of the Lantern. Tell that story to the kids when you pick up your seasonal squash, and try not to get goosebumps when you carve up your own pumpkins this year. There's also traditional Halloween bread in Ireland. It's called barmbrack, or just brack. The sweet loaf typically contains dark and golden raisins, as well as a small hidden toy or ring. Similar to the classic king cake at Mardi Gras, tradition dictates that the person who finds the item will come into good fortune in the coming year. That is, as long as they don't choke on the trinket. The fastest pumpkin carving ever only took 16.47 seconds. Stephen Clark of New York holds the Guinness Book of World Records distinction, having speedily carved his lantern in October 2013. In order to nab the title, the jack-o'-lantern had to contain a complete face, including eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. No word on whether the expression was silly or scary. A city in Canada banned teens over 16 from trick-or-treating. According to CBC, anyone over the age of 16 caught trick-or-treating in Bathurst, Canada, faces up to a $200 fine. The city also has a curfew for all residents, so even those under 16 aren't allowed out after 8 p.m. on Halloween. The rules were instituted to curtail after-dark mischief, after a rash of pranks.